Welcome to the program. My name is Brian Craig. This is the Brian Craig Show podcast. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. We got a lot to cover. President Trump, just a bit ago, ended an incredibly epic press conference, and it was a great one. I want to play some clips from it, and I have a few other things I want to touch on as well. And these clips are in no particular order, but it was the press conference about moving the Space Force headquarters to Alabama, and then he took questions, and we're going to go through all of them that I find interesting, and I'm going to touch on some other important topics and take your calls. If you're watching live, the toll-free number is pinned in the live chat, and you're welcome to call me live on the air and share your opinions. 1-888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. It's a toll-free call no matter where you are tuned in from. Okay, so President Trump, his first press conference like in 3 days, and all these bizarro manifestation psychopaths on the left with all their trending crap, that did come up, and we'll get to that shortly. But this was the last question. President Trump, he gets a question from a fake news reporter. He responds in a very appropriate way, and then he drops the mic and ends the press conference.
Everyone march today in California ruled that your deployment of National Guard troops to Los Angeles was illegal. Do you have any response?
Well, it was a radical left judge, but very importantly, what did you not tell me in that question or statement that you made pretty much of a statement, I think?
Well, I was asking for the response.
No, you didn't say what the judge said, though. The judge said, but you can leave the 300 people that you already have in place. They can continue to be in place. That's all we need. But why didn't you put that as part of your statement? Because the same judge ruled exactly as you said, except the judge said that you could leave the 300 people that you already have in place. They can stay, they can remain, they can do what they have to do. Thank you very much, everybody.
And that was the end. He dropped the mic and left. Yeah, these reporters, I don't understand why they would put themselves in a situation to be called out and humiliated by our favorite president, Donald Trump. Do they think they're going to get away with this crap? There's very little difference. If you listen to these fake news reporters, they have about the same brain power as some of the left-wing idiot trolls that I hear from time to time, all these incels that call me from time to time here on the program. They're not that smart, are they? Not at all. So he can keep the same judge, the liberal judge, ruled that the 300 soldiers he has in L.A. can stay. But here's really what is one of the big. There were a handful of big news breaking things. That was not one of them, but this was one of them. He's talking about Chicago.
Make your mind up on Chicago, though.
Well, we're going in. I didn't say when. We're going in. When you lose, look, I have an obligation. This isn't a political thing. I have an obligation. When we lose, when 20 people are killed over the last 2.5 weeks, and 75 are shot with bullets. So let me tell you a little story about a place called D.C.
Yeah.
District of Columbia, right here where we are. It's now a safe zone. We have no crime. It's in such great shape. You can go and actually walk with your children, your wife, your husband. You can walk right down the middle of the street. You're not going to be shot, Peter. You're safe.
Okay, yeah. So he was asked about Chicago. He says, we're going in. I didn't say when. We're going. And, I was talking this weekend, and I got some lefties calling me up this morning who take an issue with this. I was talking about how those of you that follow me on YouTube, on the weekends, oftentimes you'll see me out at 5 a.m. live streaming on Saturday and Sunday morning. And I'm out on the street. I go to Starbucks early in the morning. They open at 5. I'm the first customer. And I'm live streaming a couple minutes after 5 a.m. There's no other customers for like an hour. It's dark. I do this every weekend pretty much. That's why you guys should always follow me on YouTube and click the notification bell. You'll get a notification when I go live. And I was talking over the weekend. Here I am in my MAGA hat. I'm outside in the dark, all alone. I've got expensive equipment and everything, and I'm perfectly safe because in the town I live in, we have low crime rates. And someone, more than one, but I got a call from someone today, and a few other people said similar things. Well, how can you compare where you live in South Florida to Chicago? And I said to them, well, what's the difference? Why is it that we just, are expected to accept this idiotic BS that, well, it's Chicago, it's DC, it's New York. Crime is a part of it. Violent crime, dangerous crime. All these things we hear about. That's just to be expected. Why don't we expect that low level of police enforcement in my town? The reason is, in my town, we wouldn't put up with it. And if you're in a low crime area like I'm lucky to live in, your community's the same way. And the Democrats, they have this attitude that low-income minorities, well, that's just where they live, and they have to suck it up. And President Trump believes, and I believe, and MAGA believe, that every American has a right to live in a place where they don't fear crime. Remember Norman Rockwell's 4 freedoms. One of them was freedom from fear, or as FDR said, freedom from fear. Freedom from fear. Freedom from fear, freedom from what? I always forget what the other ones are. But you know what I'm talking about, the Rockwell, 4 things. Freedom from fear is an American right, according to Franklin Roosevelt, the father of the Democrat Party. Norman Rockwell and President Trump believes that too, as do I, and I know those of you out there like me who are MAGA. But the Democrats, they're like, well, hey, these poor minority people in Chicago and DC, this is just, that's their community. They have to accept this certain level of violent crime. Are you out of your mind? Who accepts that? Democrats, that's who. It's a bunch of nonsense. Oh, yes. Okay. This was Ducey. This was the first question in the press conference. Listen.
And they got it. Peter?
President Trump, something completely different, but about a big viral social media trend over the weekend. How did you find out over the weekend that you were dead? You see that?
No.
People didn't see it for a couple days. 1.3 million user engagements as of Saturday morning about your demise.
Really? I didn't see that. I have heard, it's sort of crazy, but last week I did numerous news conferences, all successful. They went very well, like this is going very well. And then I didn't do any for 2 days, and they said, there must be something wrong with him. Biden wouldn't do them for months. You wouldn't see him. And nobody ever said there was ever anything wrong with him. And
what a great comeback President Trump had on that, right?
We know he wasn't in the greatest of shape. No, I heard that. I get reports. Now, you knew I did an interview that lasted for about an hour and a half with somebody, and everybody saw that was on one of your competitors. I did numerous shows and also did a number of truths, long truths, and I think pretty poignant truths. No, I was very active over the weekend. They also knew I went out to visit some people at the club that I own.
The golf course with Kai
pretty
Trump.
Nearby on the Potomac River. And no, I've been very active actually over the weekend. I didn't hear that one. That's pretty serious stuff.
I'm glad it's
Well, it's fake news. It's just it's so fake. That's why the media has so little credibility.
That's right.
I knew they were saying, like, is he okay? How's he feeling? What's wrong? I said, I just left. And it's also sort of a longer weekend, it's Labor Day weekend. So I would say a lot of people know I was very active this Labor Day. I had heard that, but I didn't hear it. And they got it.
Okay. So there was one clip I didn't pull up, but I'll just, because it went on for a while. So I'll just talk about it a little bit. There was one clip, I didn't pull it up, but it was an interesting clip because I saw the pictures of this throughout the day in the New York Post and a few other places. Did you see the photographs of the White House where there was someone throwing something out of the window? A couple of windows. And yeah, did you see that picture? It was kind of strange. Ducey asked President Trump about this in the press conference. And then there was a follow-up about the story today, and the follow-up was that the White House said that it was a contractor who was doing some work that was throwing stuff out the window, but there was no name attached to it. It just said the White House sources. So Ducey asked President Trump about it, and he says those windows don't open. He says they're sealed shut. And in fact, Ducey even came up with this. I've never seen this happen before. It was I'll see if maybe during the break, I'll see if I can find it. And maybe I'll play it later in the program. But history was made. I'd never seen this before. President Trump had Ducey come up to his podium and show him the video. And Ducey showed him the video that's all over the internet on his iPhone. Ducey took out his iPhone. He showed the president the video. The president watched the whole video and says, no, those windows are sealed. He said, in fact, and they're bulletproof. He says you'd have to be able to bench press 600 pounds to open those windows if they opened. They are thick glass. And he said, my wife, Melania, our supermodel first lady, was just saying the other day, I'd like to be able to get a breeze in here, but you can't open up the windows. And President Trump said that it's AI. Now, I don't know. I know President Trump said they're sealed. I'm going to take his word for it, and we'll find out what happens. But that was about 30 minutes ago, and I have not seen any updates about it yet where they say, no, we have proof, and the White House did say this. So I've not seen any corrections about it. We'll find out. But if that's AI, my goodness, the AI has gotten so good that isn't it scary what you see? Sometimes you see clips of things. I do, and I'm like, no, that can't be real. Sometimes I think things are AI and then find out they're real. Sometimes I think they're real, and then and then they're not, or I didn't think they were real, but they are real. There's all kinds of things. AI is crazy, out of control. But if that was AI with that image, I'm very curious about the story, because I know it seems like a minor story, and it kind of is. I've never seen the windows open at the White House either. Okay, but what I'm curious about the story about is if it is and it was AI and was completely fake, how did this story snowball, and who in the media was the originator of this? If the story's not true, as the president said, the windows are sealed, they weigh 600 pounds. What was the original news source that reported that a White House spokesperson said it was a contractor doing some work over the weekend? Because if the story is not true, as the president said, because the windows are sealed, they don't open, that means they made up a source. And this is, as minor as it may seem because of this story, to me it's very significant. If we can find out the original news outlet that said they had a White House source that said it was a contractor doing work over the Labor Day weekend, because and this is the reason why, because reporters have this racket going. Their sources are always confidential. They'll never have to reveal their sources. So how do you know they even have sources? So a lot of times when you hear from the reporter, I've suspected this for years, when you hear, sources at the White House, sources at the Pentagon, sources at whatever say this and that, I've thought for years that they really don't have sources, that they just make crap up. And if that's the case, this is something that they made up, isn't it? Absolutely. Absolutely. So I want to track the story, and I am going to keep an eye on the story because of that. Now, one other thing, let me pull this clip up. There was one other clip that I had. Let me see. Yes. Okay, here's the one. Here's one. I think this is the last clip that I'm going to play from the press conference, but I got a lot of other stories I'm going to cover. So, and if you're on hold, hang in there. I'll take some calls in a little bit. This was President Trump broke major news right in the beginning of the press conference.
When you come out and when you leave the room, you'll see that we just, over the last few minutes, literally shot out a boat, a drug-carrying boat, a lot of drugs in that boat. And you'll be seeing that, and you'll be reading about that. It just happened moments ago, and our great general, head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, who's been so incredible, including what took place in Iran, knocking out potential nuclear power for a long time to come. I think within a month they would have had it if we didn't do what we did. But he gave us a little bit of a briefing, and you'll see. And there's more where that came from. We have a lot of drugs pouring into our country, coming in for a long time. And we just, these came out of Venezuela and coming out very heavily from Venezuela. A lot of things are coming out of Venezuela. So we took it out, and you'll get to see that after this meeting is over.
Okay, so we took out a drug smuggling boat out in the ocean somewhere. I mean, how amazing and historic is that? Everything President Trump does is so historic. You know, all of our lives, we've been sending every branch of our military all over the place on peacekeeping missions, nation building, searching for WMDs that didn't exist, all this BS, while our own country is constantly under attack, whether it's the criminals in these blue cities that the Democrats are allowing to do crime that we have to use the military for, shutting down the southern border invasion, or finally the war on drugs. You know, they've been pouring drugs into this country by land, air, and sea forever and a day. I've heard this term, the war on drugs, for as long as I can remember. And so far as I know, this is the first major war action, that at least that we know about, that's been announced by a president, where we use the military to take out, and I don't know, did we sink it? But we used the military to fire on a drug ship and took it out so that those poison drugs wouldn't come into our country. And he says there's more of that coming. It's about freaking time. Next will be the airstrikes on the cartels in Mexico and throughout South America. It's about time. You know, this war on drugs has just been a vacuous, meaningless phrase that they've never done anything about. And they've allowed it. And I imagine, you know, the Democrats, you see how the Democrats view crime in these blue cities. They don't care, right? They just don't care. And I think the Democrats who've run the country for many, many years, they think the same thing about the drugs. They don't care. But President Trump does. The guy's never even had a drink of alcohol in his life. So this is some pretty exciting stuff here. Major news broken. A historic action. Now, do any of you know, if you know of another example, and I mean, we can go back to Ronald Reagan, who was it? Ronald Reagan, I think, is the official start of the war on drugs, right? With Nancy Reagan, just say no. And then Obama comes along and all the Democrats want to legalize drugs. So they turn that into just say yes, right? But do you know of another instance where we took out a drug ship or plane using military force, and the President of the United States openly acknowledged about it and reported it to the American people? I don't know of that happening. I'm not saying it's never happened. What I'm saying is I've never heard like the President of the United States officially acknowledge that. It's about time. And right there, President Trump deserves a medal just for that action. Now, if you're on hold, stand by. I'm going to take a quick break, and I'll be right back.
Have you ever tried to walk in someone else's shoes? Author Ellie Gregg did. Literally. At the foot of New Zealand's Franz Josef Glacier, Ellie slipped on a pair of borrowed boots and stepped into the unfinished journey of a young man named Keller. Don't forget your travel guide, Part 1, Bootstrapping, available on Amazon, isn't just a travel memoir. It's a soulful collection of over 100 one-page reflections, blending poetry, philosophy, questions, and quest, all designed to inspire you to see the world and yourself differently. As author Ellie Gregg walks through grief and across continents, Keller becomes more than a memory. He becomes a guide, and with every step, the author invites you to pause, reflect, and embrace the grace even in the coldest places. This book is not about destinations, it's about transformation. If you're searching for meaning, healing, or just a new perspective, this is the journey you've been searching for. Order your copy of Don't Forget Your Travel Guide Part 1, Bootstrapping, from author Ellie Gregg, on Amazon and Kindle and paperback, because sometimes the best way forward is to walk in someone else's shoes. Order your copy right now.
You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Brian. It's Frank from West Palm. How you doing there?
All right,
Brian,
Frank.
you were absolutely correct. LaPorta Roofing was amazingly phenomenal. They just completed my roof last week, and LaPorta Roofing was superb in all ways imaginable when installing the new roof on my residence. Tom LaPorta meticulously spearheaded the entire project from inception through to the finalization of the assignment. Tom handled all the paperwork involving city permits, inspectors, and my community HOA. He was always available, ensuring me that he had my back in all phases of the project. Additionally, Tom, Scott, and Dan, and the entire crew were very well organized with the plan, consistent with all policies and procedures, and craftsmanship was exemplary in all stages of the design execution. Tom, Scott, and Dan maintained continual contact with me, the homeowner, asking if there were any questions I had or anything further I needed. LaPorta Roofing is, in every respect, a stellar, 5-star, AAA, family-owned company that is a reliable, peace-of-mind roofing organization. These guys are spot on with regards to perfection, and they demand it. I remain mesmerized upon the completion of the job. My roof is a masterpiece. And one last thing before I forget, they were the least expensive quote that I received out of 4 quotes for roofing. I thank Tom LaPorta Roofing for all that they do.
Wow, Frank. Well, thanks so much. Tom LaPorta at LaPorta Roofing. He covers both the east and west coast of Florida and everywhere in between. He works with every type of structure, residential, commercial, municipal, and he works with every type of roofing material. Also, don't forget, Tom LaPorta will never sell you a roof you do not need. If you need just a simple repair, he'll do it. He can also handle the job of any size, whether it's a single-family home or an HOA with over 200 units. Give him a call. This number rings directly to Tom LaPorta's cell phone, 954-604-4602. 954-604-4602. And online, LaPortaRoofing.com. Frank, thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Brian. You have a wonderful day.
All right, we're back. I'm Brian. You're listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast. Thanks for tuning in. I'll take a call or two, then I got more stories to get to. But I think that's pretty amazing that President Trump took out a drug boat. Don't you guys? It belonged to one of the cartels. That's awesome. I hope we get some video of that. I think people need to see that to make it really real to people. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello.
You're on.
My name is Corinne.
Yeah, turn down the volume in the background of whatever device you're listening to me on.
I can hear him.
Yeah, you're on the phone. Turn down the volume, whoever you're talking to, have them do it. The volume of the computer in the background, you got to turn that down. There's a delay.
Okay. Hello, it's Corinne from Canada.
All right,
Hello?
Canada. Yeah, Canada, go ahead.
Okay, this from the 51st state. Anyway,
The 51st state, yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
go ahead, Canada. We share a common language. You're not French Canadian, are you?
Oh no, hell no.
Yeah.
I'm not French. Don't put me in the same category. I'm a big MAGA guy.
There you go. Okay, now we can hear each other. What is on your mind?
Okay, I turned the TV way down. This
Thank
first time I finally got through. It took a lot of time. Anyway, President Trump mentioned today, if you listen, he wants
You got to listen on your phone, not the computer or TV. There's a delay. You got to listen on your phone. You got to turn down the volume.
Okay.
In the background.
Okay, okay. What's President Trump say about the Trench Dome, the Golden Dome he calls it? He's planned. Okay. Why am I getting echo? I understand this. What's going on here?
I have no idea.
Okay. Am I on a delay here?
If you're listening on your, I've told you, you've got to, you're new, so I'd be nice. You got to turn down whatever device you're listening to me on, a computer, a television, a phone. You got to,
I'm not watching.
You got to turn that, you got to mute that, turn that down, turn that off, and then and listen on your phone.
Okay. So turn it all the way down there.
Correct, and listen on your phone. There is a delay.
Okay.
What you hear on YouTube is like 30 seconds delay.
Oh, okay. Okay. Now this is on news.
That's okay.
Anyway,
that's okay.
Okay. Trump mentioned today about the dome.
Now I got what's going on here? It's commercial.
I'll tell you what. I want to let you go. We can't sit here and do who's on first for 10 minutes, but figure it out. I'll talk to you another time. All right? Oh my goodness. Okay, here we go. Boy, oh boy, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian, this is Sean from Massachusetts.
Hey, Sean. Oh my goodness.
Oh, Canadians.
Yeah, who's on first? I mean, gee whiz. I feel like he was trying to punk me. Like seeing how long he could keep that going, right? I'm trying to be nice, but come on.
I know, right? And it's like nowadays you just have to take it for real because we thought this would be a joke at one point, but it's for real.
Yes,
it's for real.
Yeah. What's on your mind?
But Donald Trump, we're seeing what everyone was with rhetoric. This man is action.
That's right.
And this is absolutely incredible. I'm so happy to see. I mean, the troops could be already in Chicago for all we know. They might have already gone in.
Well, apparently there's a naval base in Chicago, and it was reported over the weekend that they put the base on alert that so they may have already sent troops in through that naval base that we have there.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, I did hear something about that, and I was just so happy.
But it's so bizarre that you got this Humpty Dumpty Tubbo governor of Illinois and the mayor of Chicago, and all they're doing is saying, "How dare you come here and stop these shootings and the crimes and the rapes and the drugs? How dare you? This is Chicago. This is Chicago life." I mean, it's so freaking corrupt and stupid.
I mean, these guys really want to ascend to higher offices in the future, and they're acting like this. How do you pawn for violence and criminality? I just don't understand. It's beyond me. It's beyond any comprehension. And I think that the people, now we got politicians, even Democrats in Chicago. I saw one on TV. He was, I can't remember his name. He was an Asian American politician. And he said something about, I can't remember his name. And he said that he's happy that he wants the mayor and he wants the governor to work with President Trump.
Yeah.
To go in there.
Well, what kind of person wants their city to be under siege from violent criminals? Doesn't everyone want to live in a crime-free area? I am so lucky that I can walk around and do stuff like this. But in Chicago, you can't go out and walk around like you want to do. I mean, I can leave my garage open and don't have to worry that everyone's going to steal my tools. But if I'm in Chicago, can I leave my garage open?
No, not even for a second.
No. A home invasion will happen.
No, that's absolutely true. I understand why people, and more residents now are coming forward and they're saying that they don't want this. They want law and order to take place. They don't want to see this criminal acts go on anymore. And I think now common sense just seeps in. I mean, what is it? I don't know what's in these lefties' heads that blocks that from getting through.
Exactly.
I just don't understand.
Exactly. What do they block? By the way, thanks for the call. These local officials in these states, like these federal judges, do not have authority over the president of the United States. All of the United States is under the federal jurisdiction. Here's the idiot mayor of Chicago today. Listen to this idiot.
Shootings will continue as long as this presidential administration continues to put politics over people.
So I'm a little confused by this. Is he calling for the violence to continue in Chicago? This is the mayor of Chicago. Is he calling for the violence to continue?
Shootings will continue as long as this presidential administration continues to put politics over people.
Okay. Now, is he talking about, are shootings a part of some kind of protest? Well, now listen to how he says it.
Shootings will continue as long as this presidential administration continues to put...
Shootings. So it sounds like he's talking about shootings in Chicago, although he says shootings, are some type of political protest, doesn't it? It's a very strange thing that he said. And then Tubbo here, the governor, big boy, kind of looks like the penguin, Danny DeVito's penguin. He's doing an interview here, walking along Lake Michigan, talking about the crime. Listen.
You're going to hear people, especially this past weekend, 54 shot, 7 dead.
Yeah.
They're going to say the city's not safe. Would you ask your friends to ride the L after midnight or after 9 o'clock at night even to come down to the city from O'Hare?
Look, big cities have crime. There's no doubt.
Okay, big cities have crime. Really? Why is that acceptable? Right? Why is it acceptable that big cities have crime? Why do big cities have crime and most small cities don't? You know why? Because the reason that I live in a low crime area, and those of you who live in low crime areas, the reason we do is because we demand it. We don't just say, well, so many murders and robberies and carjackings and pistol whippings and sexual assaults. That's just the city. That's just life here. So we accept it because we don't tolerate it. That's why. Let me rewind and listen to this idiot.
The city's not safe. Would you ask your friends to ride the L after midnight or after 9 o'clock at night even to come down to the city from O'Hare?
Look, big cities have crime. There's no doubt about it. But let's just pay attention to what President Trump is doing targeting Chicago. He's overlooking red states that have much higher crime rates.
Now, this is one of these. First off, he's walking around along the lake with this reporter like it's safe. He's got a security detail with him. He's the governor. And this is one of these, I call them liberal urban legends, but it's just a liberal lie. They keep talking about these high crime rates in red states. That's a bunch of BS, okay? He doesn't say red cities, he says red states. Just because a state is a red state doesn't mean all of it is red. Just because a state is blue doesn't mean it's all blue. If you took New York City out of New York State, New York would go Republican. It'd be a toss-up state. If you took Chicago out of Illinois, Cook County, if you remove Cook County, Chicago out of Illinois, it would go Republican all the time. Okay? So, like here in Florida, as an example, this is MAGA land. Florida is the most MAGA state. However, we're a big state. We have some blue areas, and there's a lot of freaking crime. Jacksonville, Orlando, Broward County, where Fort Lauderdale is, Miami. And a lot of people say, well, Miami went Republican. The county went Republican, but the city of Miami and some isolated cities inside, the county used to be called Dade County, and they changed the name years ago to Miami-Dade County. And when people talk about Miami, they don't know what the hell they're talking about, okay? Miami may have gone red as a county, but the city of Miami, which is a small city inside a major county, is a very high crime area, and it's run by Democrats. So just because a state's red, and so these media people don't even correct this. They don't. Well, he's coming after Chicago, but what about the red states where there's a higher crime rate? First off, that's BS. Nowhere has worse crime than freaking Chicago. But it's not the red states where they have the crime. They're cities where Democrats are running the joint where there's high crime, like here in Florida. Now, I can't speak for the other states because I'm a Floridian and I know how Florida works. Florida, you go to the Republican areas, it's safe. You go to the Democrat-run areas, it's what does President Trump call them? Shitholes. Okay? That's it. I went to Fort Lauderdale over the weekend with my daughter on Sunday. It is night and day. We're in Fort Lauderdale. It's night and day. On my other YouTube channel, Main Street Moments, I vlog on my other channel with my daughter a lot. And you can, by the way, follow me on that channel. There's a link in the description of the video, Main Street Moments. It's my vlogging channel where I don't do politics. And I'm hanging out with my daughter on Sunday. We go to Fort Lauderdale Beach, and it's night and day compared to the beach where I live. Because I don't have homeless people sleeping on my beach. They have homeless people sleeping on the beach in Fort Lauderdale during the day, mind you. Some of them even have tents. It's very scary and lots of crime. So this thing that Fatso here is talking about is crazy. All right, let's take another call or two. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Corinne from Canada.
All right, we'll see if it works this time, Corinne. I'll give you one more chance.
But I'm a legit Trump person.
Okay, but I can't sit here and do who's on first and what's on second for 20 minutes.
I know that.
Okay, so you seem to have the phone thing worked out. What's on your mind? What's on your mind, Canada?
Okay. because there's a lot of myths about Canada that you hate Trump. That's not true. A lot of people love Trump. He's the greatest leader of my lifetime. So
yeah, there's no doubt.
Honest, I got the MAGA Trump gear and everything.
Awesome.
The hat, the
cool
T-shirts. I got the alligator Alcatraz. Not the one you have. I like that one with he's riding the alligator.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I don't have that one.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So, I know French Canadians are rude. I understand that. I believe that, but I'm not French, so I'm not French.
Good.
Me.
Good.
Not everybody speaks French. That thing's too bad.
All right. So what's on your mind on the issues we're talking about?
Okay. Are you talking about? Trump was talking about defense dome? Because I missed some of the show.
No, I wasn't talking about the defense dome. No, he was talking about the press conference today was just announcing that he moved the Space Force headquarters to Alabama from Colorado. It wasn't about the dome.
But he's not going to get the military in Chicago?
Yeah, he said we're going in. He says we're going in. He says I didn't say when or if. Yeah. He says we're going in. We're going in. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So that's a done deal. The military may already be there. They may have advanced teams already scouting it out.
Yeah, but all these people are coming from other countries. It's in the States and Canada too. People he left the borders wide open, Biden. So a lot of people who knows the expired visas and everything come in the country. And they're not.
But a lot of the crime, maybe even the majority of it, in Chicago are homegrown domestic criminals, American criminals.
Yeah, and also too, Brother Rashida Tlaib made a threat about the Antifada. How you say it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, Tlaib lost her mind. Yeah, she lost her mind.
I know she's crazy. She hates Christians and the Jewish people.
She's not a sane person. She's not a sane person. Before she was in Congress, she was removed from a Trump rally. And if you go online and look up Tlaib getting removed from the Trump rally, when I say she's insane, I'm not joking. She is certifiably insane. She's crazy.
A lot of them are unhinged. Not only bad policy, they're unhinged people.
She may be, when it comes to Trump derangement syndrome, she's one of the first sufferers. If you go and watch that video.
Oh, I know. Yeah. I remember she was swearing at him one of the rallies.
She's big on the F word.
Because I watched all his rallies on Right Side Broadcasting.
Mm-hmm.
Because I watched all of it on Right Side Broadcasting. I watched every one of his rallies.
Yeah, me too.
The only one I missed.
That's where I watched them too, on Right Side I watched Right Side Broadcasting too. Yes, that's where I was watching when they shot the president in Butler. I was watching it on Right Side.
Yeah. See, when that first happened, I thought it was like fireworks, something like pop, pop, pop. And I got worried.
Oh, I knew exactly what it was. But I'm in America. You're in Canada. You don't hear guns. You don't have guns like we have. So I know what that sounds like.
Yeah, I know.
In America, we know what they sound like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the sound on the TV, because I watched it on the TV on YouTube.
Well, listen, welcome, and I look forward to talking to you again sometime.
Okay, thanks, Frank. Take care.
All right, take care. Nice guy from Canada. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Clinton McGovern in Utah.
Clinton McGovern. Okay, give me a break. That's a good alias, though. I like that. Clinton and McGovern. You can put them together. That's pretty clever.
It's definitely not an alias, but appreciate it.
Really, that's your real name that your parents gave you? You were born. You're from the McGovern family, and your parents named you Clinton.
And there's only 6 of us in the United States.
Okay, it sounds real. Wow, that's some name.
I was one of them.
That's some name, Clinton McGovern. Some name. Anyway, go ahead. What's on your mind?
My question, look, I don't disagree with anything you're saying, but I'm curious to know about the 2028 Trump hat everyone wears.
Oh,
when
yes.
we all support the Constitution, or are supposed to support the Constitution, knowing that only a president can sit in office twice.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just a false head of triggering.
No, the Constitution, first off, term limits for the presidency are relatively new. They've only been around since the early 1950s. For most of this country's existence, we did not have term limits. Did you know? You knew that, right?
That we didn't have Trump?
No, term limits.
Sorry.
Term limits. We did not have term limits until like 51, 53.
Oh.
Yeah, there were no term for the
right, but it's still been enacted, so we can't.
Sure, you can
sit there and promote.
Sure, you can.
Happen.
Prohibition was a constitutional amendment that was repealed. They could repeal the term limits.
And will he?
Maybe. I hope so. This hat that I'm wearing, Trump 2028. Not only did I get this hat from the official Trump store, so I bought this from the president, but if you go to the gift shop at the White House, they sell these hats at the White House. President Trump shows them sometimes when he gives tours.
Okay, I get that. But
so
I'm
it's on his
still
mind.
Trying to figure out why your moderators can't seem to work with you.
I don't know what you're talking about.
In your feed.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I wrote the same comment that I'm asking you in your feed, and your moderators deleted it out.
I don't know.
Because they obviously don't care.
I don't know.
Feedback, understanding.
I don't. Well, you're here now.
Myself.
Oh yeah, you're here now. So you're not being censored. You're here now talking to me. Most people don't talk to me.
And I appreciate that. That was my only curious question, though, on why everyone pushes to 2028.
Because we need to have him another term.
There's a two-term
we need
limit.
to have. Well, you can repeal that, just like the Prohibition Amendment was repealed.
Yeah, well, I don't believe that anybody should be in office for more than 2 terms, but that's me personally.
Well, but look, these people in Congress are there for why? Judges are there for life. Right? They have people on the Supreme Court like Ruth Bader Ginsburg's like in hospice care. She's still in the Supreme Court. You got members of Congress that are in hospice practically. Why does the president only have 2 terms? And why not? The Constitution's been amended 27 times. Why not repeal the term limits?
Well, when it comes to other politicians, I believe everyone should sit max of 2 terms.
Well, that's not the way it is. No, it was not designed. No, that's not true. It was not originally designed that way. There's never been term limits for the Congress. The federal judges have always been lifetime, and the presidential 2-term limit only came in after Roosevelt, after FDR. There were no term limits before Franklin Roosevelt, until after Franklin Roosevelt.
So do you think there should be or there shouldn't be?
No, I think the American people should be able to elect and reelect whoever they decide for as long as they want to reelect them.
Interesting.
It's called democracy, right? I mean, you don't like democracy? You don't think the American people should be able to vote for who they want and elect them as many times as they want?
No, because greed fills into the heart, and then the people that are in political areas, they just make rules for themselves and keep on funding those same criteria that keeps them in office.
See, the reason...
No, I don't agree with it. I agree that every town, every state should pick one person who is a nobody who wants the best for everybody in their state to represent them.
Well,
that's my personal belief.
Listen.
Congressmen shouldn't be running from state to
state.
But I
don't live in the world of should. I live in the real world, the world of should. Here's the thing. The reason that FDR was elected 4 times is because the country was in crisis. Right? We had the Great Depression, then we had the war, and the country believed at the time, right or wrong, that there was so much crisis going on that we didn't want to change presidents in the middle of all this. And there's a similar situation going on right now. This country's in crisis. We've been run by corrupt politicians, basically a banana republic that have been selling our country out for all of our lives, and even before that. President Trump is correcting that.
Exactly.
And another term or two,
what I just said.
Another term or two would help get us on track permanently.
Okay, well then why don't we push an agenda, write a bill?
We are like that. We are. We're doing all that. We are doing all that.
And then why don't we also flip it around and change that on our congressmen to limit their terms, so then we can get the
That's never going to happen. Congress is never going to vote for term limits to term limit themselves out of office. That's not going to happen. That's
well,
not
then
realistic.
Next term, don't vote for those same assholes. Simple as that.
It doesn't work that way. You're not in the real world. You're in the world of should again.
Actually, I am. I've helped write bills before. I put a lot of victim advocacy against sexual assault bills in 2016.
Sexual assault is
in North Carolina.
Well, that's good work. You've done great work, and
we are the people. We get to choose.
But that's different.
If the people just lay down and accept whoever
that's
is on their damn their ballot.
Listen, that's different than going to
the world you're wanting to live in.
That's different than saying to get term limits passed for Congress. You would have to get both houses of Congress to pass a bill that would put all of them out of work. They never stop running until they're not going to get reelected anymore. When they think they're going to lose,
so don't
they
reelect them.
It doesn't work that way. In theory,
you
what you're saying
is someone.
What
right?
What
you get
right?
Hundreds of your friends. You've got hold on. You've got a platform.
Yeah.
You push somebody out there for your people to follow. They will follow. Why? Because they do so. Because they follow you.
When's the last time a writing candidate won a United States Senate seat? Yeah.
That's just it. There hasn't been. So
exactly.
It's time to make that change.
Okay.
It has to make that change with us, the people.
Okay. Is Clinton McGovern really your name?
Yes.
Oh, that's crazy. All right. Appreciate the call, man. Take care. Good to hear from you. Smart guy. You're a smart guy. All right. If you're on hold, hang in there. All right. My name is Brian Craig. We'll take a quick break and be right back. Now, I want to take a moment to talk about Jupiter Joe Thomas and annuities. Annuities are absolutely amazing. With an annuity, no matter what happens in the markets go down, there's a crash, whatever happens, your investment in your annuity is safe. It never goes down. And you're guaranteed an income stream for the rest of your life. It is absolutely amazing. We had Jupiter Joe Thomas was in studio with me a while back, and I asked him this question. I said, a lot of working people, middle class people invest in annuities, and also very wealthy people invest in annuities. When someone who's a high income earner and someone who's a middle class person comes to you, what are the different things that they're looking for? He says the same thing, income. Yeah, that's right. And, a great thing about annuities, see, when you're in the workforce, people, you got income coming in, people may feel a little more like gambling in an investment because they're still working, they lose money, they think, I can make some of that. When you're retired, though, you're no longer in the workforce, and you don't have as much time to make up any losses. And an annuity with having a safe investment and a revenue stream for the rest of your life in your retirement, that is great. And you could do with whatever you want with that money. You can go and visit your grandkids. You can take a cruise around the world, or just go and play golf every day, or get your hair done every week, whatever it is you want to do. No one that I know is going to turn down another income stream, especially in retirement. And Joe Thomas offers free phone consultations, which you can take advantage of no matter where you are in the United States. And I just want to tell you a little bit about Joe Thomas. He's been in the retirement planning business for over 30 years, but listen to this. He's a 5-time qualifying member of the $1 Million Roundtable, which is achieved by less than 1% of all financial advisors in the world. So he's a top man in the industry, and he's offering you a free phone consultation. That is amazing. The value of that alone is something, isn't it? And after that phone consultation, Joe Thomas is going to put together a custom proposal just for you based on your situation, your needs, and your goals. Give him a call and take advantage of this. 561-743-0999. 561-743-0999. And if you missed the number, just go to his website. It's easy to remember. JupiterJoe.com. All right? Okay. Well, we're back. I'm Brian Craig. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. If you're on hold, hang in there. I saw this today, and this is talking about the state of Florida. This used to be a Democrat state, and then it used to be a toss-up state, and it's a solid red state now. And this is great. This guy on the right, he's a Democrat with Chuck Todd here. And he's talking about the state of the Democrat Party in Florida, which is a beautiful thing.
COVID was a seminal moment in politics. You know, even though we had more Democrats in Florida, registered Democrats in Florida, you know, when Rick Scott got elected, when DeSantis got elected, when Jeb Bush got elected, when Charlie Crist got elected, we still had more Democrats, but we were still electing Republican governors.
Yeah.
Okay. Now there are 1.2 million more registered Republicans. It's starting to get to a point that it's not recoverable.
Okay, so I'll play some more of it, but this guy, he's a Democrat, and he's saying that the Democrats have no hope of recovering Florida. And, you know, this is a great thing for a lot of reasons. And, you know, I was, if you watch these protests around the country that the Democrats have, they're all senior citizens. They don't have any young people. The young people are MAGA in the country today. And there has been such a political shift. You know, having young people as Republican and the numbers we have is so big, so huge. You know, there's always been these young Republicans, but there weren't that many of them. There were like 3 of them. There just weren't. And now with young people, and I'm talking about college kids and I'm talking about high school kids, most of them are Republicans now because of President Trump. And also Charlie Kirk's played a big role. I was talking this morning on the stream. I watched a college video of Charlie Kirk at Florida State University where he goes back and forth with college students. You know, he sets up in a tent and they take turns. You know, they were all agreeing with Charlie Kirk. I never seen this happen at any of these college events, and they were wearing "Make America Great Again" hats. There has been such a change with the youth. The Democrats are not done just in Florida; they're done everywhere.
At least not in the short term. Okay. But I think COVID was a big piece of it. I think COVID was a big piece, and I was there. I was involved in it on the other.
Yeah, and I think that's true because, and part of it, a lot of people that were liberal, a lot of people that were Democrats, they saw how out of control Democrats and the government were during the shutdowns and lockdowns. Like, you know, the couple of things I remember that were just disgusting is this was in New York. Remember, there were some Orthodox Jews having a party, like a birthday party, and the cops went in and pulled them out of the house. It was like 1933 Munich. I remember seeing a cop and a restaurant inspector person shutting down restaurants and putting people out of work out in California. And when people saw how out of control these Democrat governors were and local officials, they were like, whoa, these are scary people. And they turned so many people that would have been Democrats their entire life. They woke up and were red-pilled on the spot.
Other side, I think, and I have.
How did Joe Biden only lose by 3 points then? If
how did he
COVID
only
was a big
lose?
part of it? He lost Florida in 2020 by just 3 points.
Low turnout.
Well, I mean, again, as Joe Biden would say, don't judge me against the almighty, judge me against the alternative.
Mm-hmm.
And so 2020, right, we were still mid-COVID, okay, and
Chuck Todd, he doesn't want to hear this, but I'm not going to play any more of that, but it's just, that was just a moment. You know, there's been a few of these moments with the Democrats where they've shown themselves to the world, and people are like, we don't want any of that. We don't want anything to do with that. And it wasn't just people migrating and moving, because I was a little concerned when so many people were moving to Florida after all of that period. And a lot of us in Florida, Texas, a lot of red states, we were worried that they were going to turn our great red states blue. And I can remember seeing license plates. The one I couldn't believe, there was someone with a real estate agent with Hawaiian plates in my neighborhood here in Florida looking at houses. I've never seen Hawaiian plates in this part of town. I don't know if I've ever seen them before on the roads in Florida. Might have seen them in California, but I don't think I've ever seen it. And I was like, wow, they got to be liberal, you know. But the people that moved to Florida were not. They may have been Democrats, and wherever they moved from, Pennsylvania, Hawaii, California, whatever, but they got red-pilled and they came here and registered to vote in Florida as Republicans. You know, that's the major reason Republicans have grown so much in numbers, outnumbering Democrats in the state of Florida. It's all these ex-Democrats that moved here. And that's a good thing, you know, because people got a little taste of it. And you look at what's going on with the President Trump's fighting crime. The Democrats are fighting for crime, literally, right? And I know it's crazy. It's hard to believe, but that's what the Democrats are doing. And what's going to happen here, because President Trump says we're going into Chicago. He said, I'm not saying when or if, we are going in. And what you're going to, and you see already, because people, the residents in these different cities, whether it's D.C. or Chicago, they're being interviewed. They're thanking President Trump. They're welcoming President Trump. Others in different cities, you've seen them online, they're asking President Trump to send the forces into their town and clean up the crime. And these lifetime Democrat fortresses of Democrat invincibility like Chicago, you're going to see them go more red. I'm not going to say they're going to flip them all red. You don't have to flip them all red. Just a little bit would turn the whole state of Illinois into a Republican state in the Electoral College. Just like all these people that moved to Florida from these Democrat states, right? There was all this migration from Pennsylvania, California, and other blue states to Florida for freedom, right? This was free Florida. But they came here and registered as Republicans. And that's what's going to happen in these blue cities. And that is one of the things that has the Democrats panicked. Because what I'm talking about right now, President Trump turning these blue cities red or partially red or purple or whatever they want to say, you know, in the states, we don't do an electoral college by the county. It's the whole state count. And they know that you don't have to turn too many people in these blue strongholds red to flip the state red or to make it a toss-up battleground state when it's been a safe Democrat state. And they see the writing on the wall. And I'll tell you, it's glorious. Now, like here in Florida, we were talking about, we have these Democrat places in Florida, too, that's run by Democrats. And Ron DeSantis, he's really been fighting these Democrats pretty hard. And I'll share that with you. But first, I want to tell you, if you'd like to become a Patreon supporter and support my content, there's a link in the description of the episode. Okay? And if you become a Patreon supporter, you get access to commercial-free editions of all of my podcast episodes and access to a lot of exclusive things that I post nowhere else, but I post on my Patreon page. So if you'd like to become a Patreon supporter, there's a link in the description of the video. And if you become a top Patreon supporter, you get your name up on the screen here on YouTube, and you get a live on-air thank you shout-out on every episode. I want to thank SFjr, Christine, ETW, Chuck, Pamela, Nick, Wesley, Doris, Heather, David, Maria in Texas, Alice, LeeZep, Shawna, George, Brandon, John, Frank, Dale, Tina, David, Laura, Rob, Wes, Sue, Janice, and Teresa. These are my top Patreon supporters. Thank you all. I also want to tell you guys about Dr. Appleton. You know, say bye-bye to your pain, like I've done 7 times. It's amazing. His laser wave pain treatment works. You know, with the laser treatment, there's no drugs of any kind, no shots, no surgery, no downtime. The procedure, the laser treatment, is not only completely painless, you don't even feel it when it's happening. You don't even feel it. That's right. Dr. Appleton performs all the treatments himself, and it works on every type of pain I've ever heard of. Many of these pains I've been treated for. Arthritis and bursitis, work and sports injuries, strains and sprains, repetitive motion injuries, post-surgical swelling, neck and back injuries, knee conditions, tinnitus, sciatica, spinal stenosis, fibromyalgia, plantar fasciitis, rotary tears, herniated disc, acute pain, chronic pain, the list goes on. Every type of pain I've ever heard of, the laser treatment treats. And it works. He's rid me of pain 7 times. And let me tell you, some of those pains I was in were, just tears coming out of my eyes. The arthritis was really bad. One of the shoulder injuries, I described it felt like I'd been punched in the side of my arm by Mike Tyson in his prime, although it would hurt just as bad if he hit me now. And in the front of my shoulder, it felt like I had a steak knife cutting the muscle in my shoulder. I was in so much pain. and I went to see Dr. Appleton. He treated me with the laser treatment. Pain gone, has not returned. We've had listeners from all over the United States travel here to Florida to see Dr. Appleton. You can too. Now, appointments are not necessary. Walk-ins are welcome, even on Saturdays. Give Dr. Appleton a call, 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710. That's 954-973-0710. And online, AppletonCairo.com. All right, so let me get back to the stories here. Hold on, I lost my place. Okay, so we have blue cities and towns here in Florida, and Ron DeSantis, he's taken on something that, you know, it's just too bad he lied to Trump and lied to us all and did all that, because he's the greatest governor we've ever had in my life in Florida. We've had Republican governors since 1998 when Jeb became governor, and we've had some pretty good Republican governors. Rick Scott, who's one of our senators now, he was a great governor for 8 years. Great stuff. Ron DeSantis is the best Republican governor we've ever had. And like Trump, he takes on issues, groups, and things that Republicans are always afraid to touch. Like right now, he's taking on Black Lives Matter and the gay activist. And what's happened in blue cities, Fort Lauderdale, Delray, West Palm Beach, Orlando, St. Petersburg, and some other cities, they've decided to paint Black Lives Matter or gay pride murals in the street. And these are state roads. And Governor DeSantis has said, no, you're not allowed to do that. And they continue to do it. And he is sending around road crews around the state of Florida repainting Black Lives Matter and gay pride flags on streets all over Florida, with these gay activists screaming at the top of their lungs, and Democrats here in Florida freaking out. And he's still doing it. And he had a press conference today here in Florida. And it came up. This is Ron DeSantis.
Crosswalks safer. However, they say their First Amendment rights were violated. What's your reaction to that? And also now it's up to the state attorney's office to file charges against these three.
Well, you don't have a First Amendment right to commandeer someone else's property. You have a First Amendment right to paint your own property and knock yourself out if that's what you want to do. But when you have a state crosswalk or a state road, the law in the state of Florida is now that there's not markings, or that's not going to be used for those purposes. FDOT issued a memo to explain that a couple.
FDOT is the Florida Department of Transportation.
Well, months ago, everybody's been on notice about that. But, you know, this is kind of an instructive civics lesson here. You do not have a right to take somebody else's property for your messaging purposes. Like, that's never been what the First Amendment has said.
That's right.
And, you know, we just got to be clear on that. And I'd also say, you know, I've approved a lot of money for a Pulse Memorial. Where is it? Why haven't they gotten that done?
Now, a lot of what they're saying are these memorials are about the nightclub that in Orlando from years ago, but that's not why they have all these things. But it's too bad he betrayed us and betrayed the president, because isn't he not a great conservative governor doing things that I've never seen a governor do in any state? He's really amazing. Now, you know, President Trump has declared Washington. I know, isn't it? When have you seen any Republicans stand up to Black Lives Matter, other than Trump, stand up to Black Lives Matter and very radical gay activist? I've never seen that before. Not at this level. This is amazing. And you hear DeSantis, he's getting applauded doing it. You know, President Trump has given a lot of Republicans a lot of guts to go and do things that they were afraid to do before. And that's an example. But, you know, President Trump has declared Washington, D.C. a crime-free city now. And, of course, there'll be some crime, and then the liberals say, look, see, it's not. There's still crime. But he's cleaned it up. It's safe again. And he's talked about this. He has friends that are going out to restaurants now. They haven't gone out to restaurants in years because it wasn't safe. And the White House, Pam Bondi at the Justice Department in the White House released this today. Look at this. In D.C., this is as of today, 1,669 arrests, and they have seized 168 guns that were illegally in the possession of somebody. I mean, think about that. How many lives have been saved? How many lives have been saved already in Washington, D.C.? And then over the course of the next however long, how many lives are going to be saved just by the end of the year? It's really amazing. And, you know, President Trump, this cleaning up the blue cities, these are not cities that are voted for him. He's doing things for people that are not even his constituents. And for the Democrats, this is unheard of. Because the Democrats, they can't imagine doing something for a group of people that don't vote for you. And, you know, the residents of Washington, D.C., are going to get so comfortable living crime-free that they're going to expect and demand it like we do in my town. And they're going to start voting Republican. You'll stop hearing Democrats talk about D.C. statehood. They want D.C. statehood because they feel it's a safe 2 more senators for the Democrats. And I don't know, I guess they get 1 House member. I don't know how many people live in D.C. We get 2 House members. I don't know, 1. But they want those 2 senators. They'll take the House member, 1 or however they get, but they want those 2 senators because every state gets 2 senators no matter what. The House is a little different the way they dole it out. So that's part of it. When you stop hearing Democrats talk about D.C. statehood, you'll know that the Democrats' internal polling is showing that the D.C. residents, it's not a safe Democrat seat. Now, Jasmine Crockett, who has been redistricted out of office, she's getting really desperate now. She's a congresswoman without a district. And she, this is a side-by-side of how she really talks versus this new ghetto act that she's really overplayed. And if you look at this video of her speaking on stage somewhere, Jasmine Crockett is so desperate for approval that she's doing 2 things. She's talking hardcore ghetto, where in some instances it's hard to understand her. And she's given up wearing bras now. She's not wearing bras, and she's wearing clothing to let everything hang out. I mean, so she's doing this ghetto thing and then using sex. But this clip here is how she talked before she started doing the fake ghetto act. And then you'll get to hear her in her ghetto braless state.
First of all, it's good to see you in the new year. You know, no one could have told me that when I went down to Austin, now it looks like a little bit over a year ago, that I would be running for Congress.
Here, now see, this is how she normally talks. And she's very articulate, very well spoken. She's like, you know, it's amazing. Now, then right after that, though, you're going to hear her in her fake ghetto accent.
Now it looks like a little bit over a year ago that I would be running for Congress. Baby, because these people, they are crazy, because they always talk about how Christian they is. Yeah, I don't know how many of them on that side are getting divorced because they getting caught up sleeping with their co-workers, staffers, interns, all the things. Yeah, you ain't got to believe me. Just go Google. You'll find some of it. I'm telling you, and the wives is being messy and petty. They putting it in. First of all.
Yeah, she, you know, basically what's happened here is she's kind of turned into Wendy Williams a little bit, right? Wendy Williams, she's kind of acting like Wendy Williams. But it sounds like to me, I know this sounds crazy, she's gotten so ghetto so quickly and using all these weird phrases and everything, it's almost like she has a dialect coach. You know, a lot of times actors will have a dialect coach that'll help them in a role in a movie get an accent down. And it's like she's gotten like some of the Real Housewives from Atlanta or something to work with her as a dialect coach to teach her how to talk ghetto, because she's desperate to want to use the race card to get a district back again. She's in a lot of trouble. And then she's got this guy here. I'm not sure who this is. And he's on stage with the ghetto brawless Jasmine Crockett.
If you have power.
He's talking to Jasmine, you know, when you hear him here.
If you have power, use it. Mm-hmm. I think one of the first things, I would like a progressive Trump.
Oh.
I would like somebody who used the executive pen to say, you know what, we're going to make D.C. a state.
Yeah.
We're going to make Puerto Rico a state.
Yeah.
We're
gonna 4 more senators.
We're going to abolish the Electoral College.
Yeah.
They're going to abolish the Electoral College. This is the Democrat platform, the new Democrat platform of Jasmine Crockett.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're going to enshrine protections for women in the Constitution.
Yeah.
We're going.
They want to pass a constitutional amendment a Roe v. Wade amendment.
To roll back, because the very
we're going to add more judges on the Supreme Court.
Exactly.
That part.
Add more judges to the Supreme Court. So they want to have a kangaroo Supreme Court.
Yes.
So
and guardrails.
Yeah, well, let's do that tomorrow. Let's add 4 justices to the Supreme Court tomorrow. Trump will get 4 more justices, and you'll have your additions to the Supreme Court. I don't hear. Yeah. Sound like a good idea?
And guardrails.
Right. I don't want just it to be a default situation. The one thing, without a death, there can't be a resurrection. And the way that we have seen things, they have showed me one thing clearly. Get the fuck what you want.
Yep.
And fuck with the people who fuck with you and leave everybody else alone.
That's exactly what they've done.
You can't be the president for everybody.
Yeah. No.
I thought he was a preacher for a second, but I guess he's not. Is that D.L. Hughley guy? I don't know who that is. But I thought he was a preacher until that last part. I guess he's not. I think this is the clip I already played. It's just a different angle. Let me see.
Maybe because these people, they are crazy. Because they are.
Oh, yeah, that's her. Yeah, that's the same one without the side-by-side. Now, if you're new to the program, my name's Brian, and this is where MAGA comes to talk. Make sure you follow and subscribe, and click the notification bell, too. And then you get a notification when I go live. And I promise you, if you're new here, I promise you will very much enjoy this channel. Not only is this where MAGA comes to talk, anytime I'm doing a live stream from one of the studios. This morning I was at the radio station. This is my own private studio. I'm always taking live calls when I'm live streaming, okay? So you're always welcome to call in. The calls are always screenless and unvetted. When you call in, I just put you on hold. And when I say, hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from? That's the first time anybody answers the phone. And I always do that when I'm in the studio, okay? So no one else does that, and I know you guys enjoy it. I enjoy it. But I'm going to take off for now, but I'll see you on the next program, first thing in the morning. Make sure you follow. Make sure you subscribe. My name's Brian Craig. Thanks for watching. Talk to you next time. Take care.